doing? You alright? Called there again. Just want to speak today. I keep seeing a lot of things on Twitter about like the penal reform, prison reform for 2016 under this Liz Truss or what she's called, this new Justice Secretary. I've been reading on Google as well. There's a couple of things coming up on Google. Apparently, by the end of the year, they're gonna have this. I'm a former prisoner, right? I speak out for prisoners now because they don't have a voice. People don't want to hear what criminals have got to say, do they? So I give the prisoners a voice, so to speak, or I give my opinion anyway. Whether you want to hear it or not is a different thing. But yeah, today, what it is, it's like the prison reform, nothing's going to change. Like they're saying now, what they're saying is that like HMP Wandsworth is going to be one of the prisons that's going to be detailed. They're going to take prisoners out of a handful of prisons and going to put them into this reform prison thing for 5,000 inmates, right? I think the site's set to be announced. So, and but the simple fact is, right, prison reform doesn't exist, right? People speak about it, and the words out there, but prison reform, right? What does it mean? So it's supposed to be for better conditions for inside prisons, right? Penal reform, right? And like help resettlement, rehabilitation, bring down suicides and self harm and everything, right? Well, so these big words, penal reform and prison reform, keeps getting thrown about. But what's happening inside prisons? All that's happened, right? The Justice Secretary. Do you think the new Justice Secretary, right, goes around prisons and spends days, weeks, months, and everything touring prisons? No, they don't. What happens, right? She sits behind the fucking desk, right? A load of statistics, right, about how many prison officers have been attacked, how many prisoners have fucking injured themselves, self-harming, how many incidents there have been of mental health outbursts and prisoners being stuck in like sent to solitary confinement, and how many indefinite public protection prisoners have been like sentenced and IPP'd off and stuff, and how many drugs we found, and how many mobile phones we found, and how many illegal eyes we found, right? She sits behind a desk and looks at statistics, right? I've been in prison as a prisoner. I know what goes on in prison. That's why I talk about it, right? And prison reform is just a big fucking fancy word that the Ministry of Justice, right, the Justice Secretary, and people within the prison system want to use to, oh, well, we're focusing on resettlement, bringing down reoffending rates, right, rehabilitation, and everything else, right? Well, I'm telling you straight now, doesn't happen. The lads just some of the lads get stuck through education courses, but it's not because they want to be put on them. It's because when you're like eligible for when you're coming up for parole and stuff, you need to have ticked these boxes. What probation put you through? The probation don't want to put you through them. They're no use on the outside world really, right? And you do it to tick a box, right? So you do it because you want to get out of prison and you know that you've got to tick boxes and jump through hoops, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, to get in and out of prison, right? To get out of prison. So you do these shit courses, right? What the and the food doesn't change. The fucking conditions definitely don't change, right? Like now, right? Like you're being strange ways there, right? And the heat coming through magnifies the heat and stuff. You spent 23 hours a day, 23 hours a day, yeah? You're lucky if you get an hour exercise, right? And you're lucky if you get, well, you normally do get association for an hour, right? But if there's any kickoffs on the wing or the landing or anything, then bam, you're straight behind your door, right? Locked up till the next day. So you tell me how that reforms anyone. The only person that can reform themselves in prison, right? No amount of courses and all that shit. The only person that can change themselves and reform themselves is themselves. If you think that someone that's in prison for murder, armed robbery, drugs, assault, GBH, the list goes, fraud, whatever, right, is going to change themselves because they've been put through a course by the probation, like an anger management course or something like that, that's the reason they've changed, then you're fucking stupid, right? The only reason people change is because they want to. Now, you get out of prison, right? You've not given any courses that are going to benefit you on the outside world, right? You're a convict, right? So when you go for a job, yeah, there's not many jobs about here in Manchester. So when people go for jobs, right, and there's one position, two positions, three positions, right, and you've got 30, 40 people that go for the job, right, and you've got a criminal record, do you honestly believe, right, that this employer is going to take on an ex-con? No. So what happens? You revert to type. You go back to what you know. You sell drugs. You make money. You graft. You shoplift. You steal. You do what you got to do to make the dough, right? To make the money, right? And that's the way it goes. There's not. What I'm saying in short is there's no help for prisoners, right? The prisoners get kicked out with, I can't remember how much it is, 36 quid, 38 quid or something, right? Get kicked out of the gate, right? And that's it. Fuck off. See you later. Ta-da. There's no resettlement, right? There's no, like, there's a housing officer. When I was in Forest Bank, yeah, there's an housing officer, right? Who was supposed to speak to my housing officer about my flat. Didn't bother. I nearly lost my flat because this housing officer didn't pick up the fucking phone, which was her job. She was being paid by the Ministry of Justice for it. Actually, no, it wasn't. Well, yeah, it's Sodexo, so a private-run prison, right? And what did they do? They did fuck all, man. Absolutely nothing, mate. I nearly lost my flat as a result. So rehabilitation is just a fucking... right, prison reform is a made-up word by these people that try to say, oh, we want to reform criminals. We want to bring down reoffending. Well, simple, fucking invest in these people, put them on courses where they can get decent fucking, like, gas, plumbing courses, gas safe, fucking engineering courses, qualifications that they can use in the fucking outside world, right? Not made up fucking shitty, stupid ones that are not nationally recognised, or you do it to tick a box, right? Put them through for decent courses where when they get out, they can earn a decent wage. And then what happens, right? You get a decent wage, right? And you've got some dough, and you think, oh, this is sweet, this. Then you're paying tax, right? Then you're putting money back into the pot, which then will help other people down the line, right? It's not fucking rocket science, people, but it doesn't happen. The prisoners are the forgotten people. People on the outside world that read newspapers and that read these fucking silly tweets, right, that believe politics is real, right, and oh yes, we're going to reform criminals, we're going to bring down reoffending, but from a prisoner, I'm speaking from a prisoner's perspective, right, doesn't fucking happen. It's a made-up word by a load of overpaid, overqualified, no sense of fucking, like, normal, like, these people, they don't live in the real world, right? They live in fucking bubbles, man. They've got 2-3 cars, 2-3 homes, right? And then they want these fucking MPs and stuff, and they judge and determine what's going to happen, and the Justice Secretary and the governors, right? All the governors do is sit on their arse, right? And then they'll get statistics. Oh, this prisoner's been doing that. This prisoner's done that. He's in solitary. This, that, and the other. There's been this many attacks. Right? The simple fact is prison is pure lockdown. Right? Cat B prison, Cat C obviously get more association and everything. Right? People that are in solitary get treated like fucking animals. Right? Most of the people in prison get treated like animals. You've got to beg for toilet roll, beg for toiletries. The food portions, whether you're 6'4" or you're fucking 5'1", right? Your food portions are exactly the same, man. So people are going hungry, right? The prison's fucking rife with fucking drugs and mobile phones and fucking legalised and everything else, right? On top of that, you've got people, a lot of prisoners, not everyone, but there are a lot of people that have got mental health problems, right? Whether they've been diagnosed or not diagnosed, right? The simple fact is these prison officers are not trained to identify and to treat people with mental health issues, right? So then you've got people that are on antipsychotic drugs because they see a doctor once and he says, oh, yeah, bang them some fucking antipsychotic drugs and everything, right? Then that person who's chemically imbalanced in the brain gets fed up of taking these tablets because they mong him out and everything else. And any drug, just like any drug in prison, whether it's prescription or illegal or legal, it's got a price. So then these lads that are on fucking antipsychotic medication, they sell it to somebody else on the wing, whether it be swap it for something on canteen or swap it towards the price of a legal high, something like that, right? So these people that are chemically imbalanced in the brain are now taking synthetic cannabis like Spice, Mambo, Clockwork Orange, all these legalised, right? And then these fuck their heads up, right? And then what happens? You end up with lads sat behind the doors seeing fucking dragons and shit, and thinking paranoia, and people think they're going to come for them and stuff, and then they end up lashing out at the screws. And it's a vicious cycle. There's no help for, there's no mental health help for prisoners, right? Prisoners are locked in locked in the cells because there's not enough screws to fucking safely man them, right? That's why you're not allowed out on exercise most of the time, because I got told by a screw there's not in a strong enough number of us to safely, right, watch over you, right? So what happens then? The lads are up in arms, then it's hot and it's sticky and they're pissed off and they can't get to the other side of the wing because they want the drugs, or they want to fucking legalise what the mate's got, or the canteens are coming and they're owed something on the canteen on the other side of the wing by one of the lads, right? So then they're angry. So when they get out, they kick off, right? Lads are treated like shit, right? If people want to think there's a fluffy world where they have teachers in prison that are trying to help fucking prisoners and trying to bring down reoffending rates and rehabilitation, and say, oh, when you get out, what we're going to do, we're going to put you in a decent course where you get decent qualifications, we're going to put you in a nice hostel, or we're going to put your name down for a flat, or we're going to put you in a bail hostel, and we're going to try and help you resort your life out and everything else. No, they don't, did he fuck? That's why so many fucking people come out of prison and revert back to type and go back to crime, because 100% of something is better than fucking 0% of fuck all, right? So they go out and they steal and they do what they do and they sell the drugs, and because that's all they know. Crime doesn't pay. Well, it does pay, to be honest. It does pay. Yeah, right, you might get caught. You might do 50, 60 crimes, 10 crimes, 20 crimes. Get caught for one, do the time, get out, go back to what you know. The lads don't want to do that. The lads want to be better than that. They want to learn from the mistakes. Not everybody, because some people are a lost cause. Some people act that way and carry on that way because it's all they know. Or the mental health issues take over. I've seen people crack up in prison because the way that they are. Being locked behind your door, right, has serious psychological things in your head. You don't know what's going on outside your cell, right? You're fucking treated like shit. You're locked down. How is locking somebody in a cell for 22, 23 hours of the day in a scorching hot 31 degree heat that we've got today, hottest day of the year so far, how does that help inmates? Please tell me. They become agitated and stuff like that. How is that helping them? I think people on the outside that have not been in prison and got no experience of prison, I think that they think that we all, every day, we take a little packed lunch and we go and sit in a big room at the end of the wing, and we've got these educated teachers and these qualifications being thrown at us and these chances and these courses, right? And if you think that, you're fucking stupid, right? You're being fed bullshit by the media. Right? It doesn't happen, mate. Simple. It really fucking winds me up, right? Do you know what? In prison, right, I met some really decent people in prison. I know that sounds crazy because prison's prison and it's not supposed to be a good time and everything else. But the simple fact is like, prisons are overcrowded. Right, what they should do as well, they should have a bar across the government, across the Justice Secretary, and across the prisons and the law and the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. They should say, right, any crime below this, we'll put them on tag. We'll like put them on some sort of a GPS like tag, things like that, right? They can do community service. So if you're doing community service, being sat in a cell rotting, fucking festering for 22, 23 hours of the day, right? When for a mediocre fucking small crime, right? When they could just put you to work in community, right? All these derelict houses and fucking buildings and stuff, they could de-weed them, paint them, fucking give them a set of skills and put them to work. They're giving back to society then. Being sat in a cell for 22, 23 hours of the day, they're costing the taxpayer money, right? So and then what you should say is, right, anything above this crime, you go to prison. And then obviously because of the crimes and like aggravating factors and all that sort of stuff, they should say, right, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, however many years you get, murder, fucking fraud, firearms, armed robbery, all that crazy stuff. And that should be leveled across the thing, because then what it does, it frees up space within prisons, right? There's less people in prison. The people that are out in society that are under probation and under orders and stuff, it's simple. Like, if you fuck up, we're giving you some rope. If you hang yourself, you go to prison, right? I know where I'd rather be on a summer's day when I'm sat in a fucking prison cell festering, right? Because the heat in the windows are thick and I'm magnifying the fucking heat into the room, right? And it's scorching and there's no air to breathe. And then would I rather be outside serving the community working in a charity shop or fucking making myself like doing something like decent for society. Absolutely, yeah, that's what I'd like to do because that's what people should do. And then anything over a certain crime, they go to prison, and that's just a fact. Like, but like I say, the amount of there's no prison officers, right? The fucking prisons are rife with drugs, mobile phones are fucking legalised, right? That's not me stitching the lads up, that's just a fact, right? The fucking prison officers know it, the media know it, right? It's just a fact, right? There's nothing they can do about it. They're fighting a fucking losing battle, right? The best people to speak to on subjects about prison reform, right? Prison rehabilitation, reoffending, right? Is the lads that it affects. Because if you're talking about resettlement, rehabilitation of an offender, you get all these posh dickheads that are sat behind desks with ties and shirts on going, oh, well, I think that we should do this, right? And there's prisoners that are sat in prison that these dickheads in suits and shirts and ties who went to university, that doesn't tell it, right? Yeah, in their head, it tells, because they've got a bit of money behind them, it thinks it gives them the right to tell people what they can and can't do when they get out and blah, blah, blah. But what they should be doing is looking and think, you know what? These lads in prison cells that are coming up to the final like 6 months, 12 months in prison, right? Let's actually change the course of their life. Let's speak to them on a one-to-one basis. Let's find out where they want to go, what direction they want to go, how we can help them, what courses they'd like to be put on themselves, not forced to go on, right? And let them do them courses and actually say, look, like, we're going to help you better yourself, right? And speak to the lads and find out what they want, what their needs are, whether it be mental health, whether it be homelessness when they get out. Because if I'm homeless and you kick me back on a fucking street, I'll tell you what, I'm going straight out shoplifting, right? And if I don't do drugs or alcohol, right? But if I had an addiction, I'm going straight to the nearest shop, I'm going to steal, right? So I'm breaking the law straight away. And if I'm out on license, I'm going to be, obviously, I'm going to be fucking wanted on recall to prison, right? And I'm going to steal because I need to feed my habit and everything else. So what I'm saying is, it's a vicious circle, and people should fucking help these people. These posh knobheads, this Liz Truss and these fucking Justice Secretary and all that, right? They should speak to the fucking prisoners, because no one's better to tell a prisoner that the best person to speak to about a subject is the person that it affects, right? The prisoners, people like you and me, right? And I'm sorry, it proper winds me up because I'm sick of seeing all this shit, all these correspondents and fucking stuff in the media, right? Who were good at the jobs, right? But they just, they're filtered shit from the government, from the Ministry of Justice to the Justice Secretary, and they do all these press releases and stuff. A press release and a statistic doesn't make the situation real. It just makes it all it makes it is a statistic, a number on a piece of fucking paper. Right? Better treatment for prisoners, better conditions for prisoners, better resettlement, better rehabilitation, better reform programs would bring, not across the board, because like I said, there are lost causes, but for people like me, it would put me on a straight and narrow. Like, I've changed my life right now, I'm reformed, I do interviews on this sort of thing, right? And like, I don't do statistics, right? Statistics are there to touch base on, but don't rely on them. Speak to the people that it affects, because it's like a load of posh knobs. Do you think the lads in prison are thinking, oh, well, like, they're sat there like lost causes thinking, some dickhead that sat behind a desk pushing papers, right, who has no idea about prison, that's never been to prison, that's never experienced prison, but yet is a governor of a prison, or is a justice secretary, or works for the Ministry of Justice, right, doesn't make them like a specialist on these subjects. No amount of university and fucking training can teach you about it's real life, people, not statistics, not, oh, we think this, we think that, right? Speak to the prisoners, who it affects, speak to them, ask them what help they need, what they want, right? And whether it be, oh, well, when I get out, I'm going to be homeless, right? So I'm probably going to go back to crime. And then think, right, how can we change that? Oh, simple. What we'll do, we'll get you into an hostel, we'll get you on a program. If you've got addictions, we'll put you in contact with drug addiction people and stuff like that. And then what it does, it's not going to eradicate, it's not going to solve every problem, but it's going to help the people. And if that helped the people, then me, from a prisoner's perspective or a former prisoner's perspective, I'd look and think, the government actually care about the prisoners, and like it'd soften the blow, and I'd actually respect them, and I'd actually like to work with the government on stuff. I'd love to give my opinions to the government, to the Ministry of Justice, to Liz Truss, the Justice Secretary, and speak to them and explain where I'm coming from. I've not got all the answers. No, I'm just a street kid. I've got no qualifications, but I have common sense, people, and common sense will prevail. And I think, like, I'm just sticking up for prisoners, and I want better prison conditions and better treatment for prisoners, and also better rehabilitation. But then on the other when the shoe's on the other foot, we need to then, when we get out of prison, to show that the trust that's been installed in us and the courses that we've been put through, which has cost the taxpayer X amount, right, is better. But if you don't send people to prison for minor offences, the money that saves a year, a day, a month, a year, right, that can be then put into training and qualifications to these people in prison. And then what they should do is they should set up charities or organisations or have contacts with organisations and say, you know what, I know these lads are cons, but you guys help them get jobs. So like an employment agency that actually take on ex-cons, that'd be brilliant to see. Because otherwise your criminal record, you go for a job, your criminal record's there, bam, the door's shut before you know it. Your skin, you need some money, you go back to selling drugs. There's easy ways to make money that way. And that's how people end up in prison. But listen, I'm going to stop waffling. I've just got strong opinions on this. Pardon me in my vest. Listen, I'll leave it here. Follow me on Twitter at Coday, CODY, Lachey, LACHEY. It's in the description below. Leave your comments. Take care, guys. Bye.